I need some advice. I need some advice about plants. You know I'm not an expert with plants. I've got a planted tank. I mess around with plants, but I'm not an expert, and maybe you can help me. I'm having some problems with the plants in this 55-gallon behind me. You know, for a long time I just couldn't keep plants. Why? Because I was keeping African cichlids, who are notorious for just destroying plants. So the only plants I could really keep were artificial. Now I'm keeping real plants, but I'm running into some interesting issues that you might know more about and can give me a tip on. In this tank behind me, as you can see, I've got some wood going on. I've got some live plants. I got some anubias, some crypts. But recently I added a Ludwigia repens, which is a very beautiful plant, has lots of greens and red on it, and I got a good bunch of it. But every morning when I'd wake up, I'd come down and it would be floating on the top of the tank. One of the fish was uprooting it, or possibly one of the snails. The snails, these big snails that I have in here, these big pagoda snails, they're like bulldozers. They just go along and they're so bulky. I think that they just uproot the plants. This tank was my first honest attempt at keeping a planted tank, and for many years I've just kept fish that were not compatible with plants. But you can see some nice crypts and some anubias. A little bit of hornwort, a lot of wood that the plecos love, some natural rock work. And you can see right here the little rock island that I've created in an effort to try and keep these plants in the substrate, in the ground. You can see there's one snail approaching, and there's one inside there. Hopefully he's not going to be uprooting any of them. There's a cherry barb back there behind or just below the heater. I don't think these rummy nose mess with plants at all. Maybe that little serpe right there. One of a group of about 5 I had for years. He's the one survivor. We've got an auto, some cory cats, some plecos. But somebody is pulling them up. And I usually find them up here in this top corner of the aquarium. There's a little bit of cucumber hanging on one of those little Zoom Ed floats. I'm surprised there isn't a pleco stuck to it. You can see that wood, how thin. It used to be a small hole there, and look how big that hole is. That's from the plecos eating the wood. So, do you think that this is going to work? Have you had a planted tank where the plants continue to get pulled out and you find them floating? What did you do to handle it? Any tips you can give me would be greatly appreciated as I continue my learning experience when it comes to planted tanks. So there you have it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and share your tips and ideas. I really appreciate the help. As I said, plants are a new adventure for me, relatively speaking, so I know a lot of you are experts out there. So let me know what you think, and also let me know what other plants you think I should include in that 55-gallon. I know compared to some of the more advanced plant keepers out there, they would call this tank barren. It's a big step for me, but for some of you plant keepers out there, you'd probably call it a barren tank. I'm going to be putting more fish in it, more neons, more rummy nose, more rasboras, schooling fish, and possibly some what you would call a showpiece or a centerpiece fish. We'll see. I've got plans for that 55-gallon. But there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like the channel, go ahead and subscribe by hitting me in the mug up here. And if you would like to continue watching videos on tips across a variety of fish keeping subjects, go ahead and click up there. And if you'd like to support the channel further, consider becoming a Patreon supporter. And there's a video about it. I'll put it right here. All right. Thank you, my friends. Bye-bye.